Hi everyone, on this edition of Scouting for Growth, I will be joined by Axel Thibon, founder and CEO of Wizest, described by Forbes as far more authentic than Robinhood will ever be. Wizest is the next generation of investment trading platform where the technology is actually aiming to democratize access to the stock market so everyone can invest like the top 1%. With his team, Axel aims to make personal investing more accessible, more engaging, and more consistent with today's digital platforms and changing customer behavior. One thing Axel shared with me is today, people think that investing is complicated and intimidating. What if there was a platform that paired novice investors with financial experts? Well, Wizest is aiming to do so. So during our discussion, we intend to cover a few points. Why we need to make investing simpler. What is the challenge with the current mass market wealth management platform that are out there? How does Wizest work? Target market and sources of success. If you enjoy listening to this podcast, do not forget to subscribe to it, rate it, and provide a comment here below. If there is a topic that you feel needs addressing, just send me a message using the channel option listed below too. So let's welcome Axel. Hi Axel, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you, and you, and thank you for hosting me today.
The pleasure is mine. And I have a lot of questions for you because I want to learn a little bit more about making investing simpler. So my first question, Axel, is I want to learn about you, what you do every day, where you come from, and what problems you are trying to solve with Wizest today.
Okay, so a lot of questions in one. So let's start. So today I'm speaking to you from Cleveland in Ohio in the US, but as you heard with my accent, I'm not from there. So I'm originally from France, and I had an interesting path before doing Wizest and before speaking to you today. I started my career not as a financial person, even if we're going to talk about finance and technology today, but as a mechanical engineer. I worked for a few years for one of the biggest car makers, the Renault Nissan Group, and being in charge of developing parts for the electrical vehicles. So a totally different I would say path than what I am today. But through this life story, I would say when I was still an engineer, it's when I had my first I would say struggles with investing myself, and I wanted to start building wealth for my future, thinking about my retirement. But when I went into some platforms that were available at the time to start investing, I didn't know nothing about finance, and so it was very difficult for me to find something that was adequate. And so I think that's something that pursued me and that I always had in my mind. And maybe after doing my MBA at MIT, when I came to the US 12 years ago, it's when I decided to switch to finance and to work in banking, maybe because of this I would say thought about how can I invest, how can I do this, and so I went into banking, worked for a couple of banks, being the head of strategy for them, and even leading an online pure online little bank. And at the end of my I would say journey in the banking side, I even launched from scratch a little digital bank with a small team on behalf of a bigger institution. And that experience of building a little company from scratch and a little bank even from scratch in the financial sector made me confident that I was able to maybe to at some point build the solution for the problem that was haunting me about like how can we make investing simple, and that's why I decided to start to work on Wizest. So that's like the whole little story, and why I am here today.
So tell us a little bit more about Wizest, and what did you take from your learning in banking and the things you said you didn't like, which you have actually packaged in this project?
Yes, and I'm going to just finalize like the answer to the last question, jumping into this one about like what is the problem that we're solving. Apart from like my own, I would say, frustration when I was trying to invest, I think that this is a journey that is shared by many of us. And when we want to start investing with like I would say a limited capital, we tend to go with like solutions that are like cheap or even free, like Robinhood, eToro, and other platforms like that. But like if you don't have like any background in finance and you don't know what to buy and what to sell, it's very difficult because you say, I don't know what to do. I'm going to screw up. I'm not going to be doing something nicely, thinking about like a long-term result and building wealth. And so people like tend to go back to the more traditional channels, like to go back to their bank, say, hey, can I get a financial advisor to help me to build a portfolio? And again, in most of the time, the bank will tell like, no problem, we can help you, but like you will need to have this amount of capital to start. And if you don't have it, come back when you will have it. And so there is like a threshold that is very limiting for people that wants to start, which is a little bit like a paradox, because like it's almost like if you go to school and the teacher tell you like you can enter only if you already know how to read, so which is interesting. And so the last solution for these people that are like trying to invest is like to go with like automated tools, like robo-advising solutions. But here it could be perfect for people that don't want to hear what is happening with their money. It's like, hey, I park my money here and the machine will do its thing and that's it. But for most of us, again, money is a very emotional topic. And we like to understand what is happening. We want to be able to take our own decisions. We want to be able to have like a human contact and have some validation of what is happening. And so that is not possible with like with robo-advising solutions today, which are like black boxes. Technologically, it's perfect, but like there is like a lack of interaction with the client. And so that's the last resort that was existing today. And so that's why I said like, hey, we need to find a solution for that. And so that's like what we built for Wizest, like how we can address all these like drawbacks that these people found down the path of like trying to start investing.
So you actually already highlighted, I think, a very important points, which I'm sure listeners would want to know a bit more about. eToro, Robinhood, Wealthsimple, all those platforms which have emerged over the course of the past few years to make wealth accessible to the mass market. What are the strengths of those platforms and what are the weaknesses, and what, therefore, are the challenges and the opportunity that Wizest is bringing to the consumer it's after?
Perfect. Yeah. No. And I think like these platforms like Robinhood, eToro, Wealthsimple brought a lot to the market because, as you mentioned, they provide accessibility to the market, so people can suddenly access to trade, to invest. But accessing doesn't mean that you know how to do it. It's like if I give you a Ferrari, if you don't know how to drive, you cannot use it. But like I would say it's a fantastic tool. These tools that democratize the access to investing, and for that we have to give them like all the credits they deserve. But however, the I would say the drawback I see is like. It's almost the same way as like when we think about the cab model before, like before we had to call for a cab in the street, and a few years ago, which we make it more convenient by adding some apps to be able to order a cab or a taxi, and so that make it more convenient. And the same thing that like these platforms are doing, making it more accessible, but what like I would say Uber changed is like they changed the model. It's not only like at the end of the day, it's going from a point A to a point B, yes, but then it's the whole experience and who is able to access it and how that has changed. It's not about the service itself, which is being able to invest or trade, but it's how it is happening. And so that's what we decided to change with Wizest, and which is different from the others, because it's not only making it more convenient or more accessible, it's also changing how it is happening and how the experience is. So it's really more simple.
So simplicity is super important, and I guess education as well, because you're right, investing is not simple. And what I also realize is, when I look at even my personal portfolio, whether it's investing in startups or investing in stock, I tend to be the one going for, the mammoth investment, which I keep forever until I retire. And hopefully they've increased at some point or another. I'm this type of very safe investor, probably because I come from insurance. I don't know. But I tend to be a safe investor. However, when I look at my experiences, even investing in startup, I don't do this on my own. I always have experts surrounding me. I have a committee of like-minded people where we can argue and evaluate the investment. So how do you embed this within Wizest?
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue to tell you and the audience how Wizest works, because at the end it's what you just said is the best way to get into something is to learn from an expert. When you want to start playing tennis, you don't start playing tennis against a wall. You go with someone that's going to teach you. and so that's how Wizest works. Basically, when users are coming into Wizest, what they don't see stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, that could be very scary and abstract for for someone that is new or with investing. And so what you see people, and everybody nowadays is used to see and analyze people through all the social media platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and these people that we have in Wizest are the experts that you were referring to before. So these are licensed portfolio managers, financial advisors that we have that are working with us. And these people are sharing their personal profile first to be able to build a human connection with the users. And then also one or several portfolios that model portfolios that they recommend. And from the user perspective, the user is able to browse these people to understand the level of risk that the portfolio have, where these experts are coming from. Is they went to study in the same university as the client, for example, to try to have this connection. If they invest in some specific industries that would, I would say, align with the value of the users. And from there, the user is able to choose to pick and choose one or several experts that they like, and almost to build a team. Like you build your team to play some sports, they can build a team that is going to work for them. And when I say that, it means when you put maybe $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 to work in Wizest, and you have your team, in function of the allocation you have to each player of your team, Wizest is going to replicate on your behalf the portfolio or the model portfolio of these experts to build your real portfolio. And then the way you will manage your portfolio is not by managing the underlying holdings, but by managing your team. Your portfolio is going to be made of Catherine, John, Jeffrey, and Tamara, for example. And that's going to be almost like a human ETF or human fund that you can manage. And from there, because we have this human layer, we leverage it for all the educational and connection and human connection aspect of things, because each of these experts that you follow are almost on a weekly basis explaining what is happening in the stock market, some basic concepts about finance, and if they do a change in their portfolio, what did they do and why. So this way there is this all education where people are engaged and are part of the process, part of the experience. And so that makes it a totally different experience than Robinhood, for example, or other platform like e-trading platform, where you have to decide by yourself which single product you want to trade and when. Here, everything is a portfolio approach with a diversification, because you are having a team of experts, not just one, and with a much, I would say, safer approach, because the work is done by the experts for you, and they explain to you what is happening. So it's transparent.
Super. So you mentioned ETFs, and I think there's a question that everybody will be wanting to ask you, Axel, is what's your view of what happened with FTX and other major cryptocurrency collapses we've just seen in recent months?
Yes, and it's very interesting because it's a debate that we had a lot, like internally, and even with like potential users, about like having like crypto in our offering at start or not. And our view is like our objective with Wizest is to provide a safe environment for new or like novice investors to start and to be guided and have like this support from the experts. And so we are targeting safe investments to have like to build long-term wealth. And when we look at the crypto asset type, I would say this is more a short-term play, more like speculative, I would say, product. So that's why we didn't include it. And I would say the collapse that we're seeing, it's something that is natural, I would say, that happened because it's a new asset type with less regulation than others and the one that are already in the market. And so with a much more swings that are like more difficult to control. And so that's like why the collapse, as we say, happened. But it's going to continue to have like a lot of like up and downs. So until this becomes like a more safer asset type, because it's here to stay, I would say this is not the type of product like platform like Wizest will propose to the clients that we have that are more looking for something more like I would say safer.
So safe, people want to feel safe. They want to know that what they're investing in is definitely going to grow. But for any investment, there is ups and downs, and we just need to be mindful of that. Now, what I'm curious about is the impact you have on your community and the ecosystem you serve. Actually, Axel, tell us about your audience. Tell us about your customer, who he or she might be.
Yes, no, and that has been like also like something that was very, very interesting for us to learn about that through the last 2-3 years we have been developing the solution. Because again, at the beginning, it was like to solve one personal frustration. But through the process, I saw that it was not only my frustration, but the frustration of a lot of people. And when we look at I would say the society, even above all here in the US, because it's where I'm based and where we are launching the solution, we see that like this logic of having these human connections, this human support, this safer approach of investing, we saw in our early users and the people that are in our waiting list, and we have like over 4,000 people now in the waiting list to be able to start using Wizest. We had a majority, a light majority of women, which is like very new and very interesting because up to today, when you look at like traditional investing solutions or trading solutions, I would say women only represent 25 to 30% of the users. And so I think that there is something that is very indicative here that our solution is quite inclusive and allow people that traditionally were not like included in the investing, I would say, world, and that today, thanks to this approach that are new and different, are able to come into it. And like we observe that with like women, and I'm sure that if we dig in, we will see also that with like all type of minorities, that will be the same result.
So, I mean, I was going to ask you, location. Where are you located with Wizest? Where can people use the platform? Because I can hear the opportunity for financial inclusion, which goes beyond the United States where you are today. Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious to know, where can people access the platform, and how do you intend to democratize it beyond the US if you are just in the US today?
Yes, and so yeah, that's a great question. And today, yes, as we are like in the process of launching, so we are launching within the US market for like US people, but like the idea is to open the doors little by little to a larger audience, and means like to provide access to non-US people to Wizest, and so to invest in the US market, but also to go into other markets to offer the same type of like access to investing and new way to invest to anyone. And for that, we plan to do that like in a little bit different way, because today in the US we are launching as like a B2C platform, so direct to consumer, but we are also like planning to open like partnerships with like, I would say, corporations or financial institutions to be able to increase our reach. So for example, we are like having some partnerships now with like one NBA team in the US, the NBA team of the city where I live, Cleveland, to be able to offer Wizest to their employees. So for example, like Wizest could be a new benefit offered to the employees to complement or like the 401k, for example. So that's like something that it's a way to access to the audience that is very nice, but also through financial institutions that can offer Wizest as a product that would go where there is a gap today, which is in between savings and wealth management or private banking, to have like this type of service. And through these financial institutions, it's where we can enter into other countries. And I see that a lot of potential in Latin America, in Europe, in India, in the Middle East. So almost everywhere, I would say there is a lot of potential for this type of solution, because people are like asking for it. And through I would say the raise of capital that we did a few months ago, the investors, I would say, confirm that this is a perfect solution for not only the US, but beyond.
And beyond is going to be, I guess, from an investor viewpoint, very important. So you said you launched Wizest 3 years ago. Am I right?
We started working on Wizest. We have been developing the whole solution, and now we are arriving into the market. So it's again, it's not like setting up like a lemonade stand, because to be able to launch Wizest, we have to make sure that we have a solution that is secured, that is like regular, that is compliant with the regulation, that we have our registration with the regulators, and that we have the right also integration from a technological point of view with like the companies that will provide us like the custody and broker dealer services. So it's an interesting undertaking, and so these last 3 years have been to prepare, to build, and now we are at the exciting moment where we are launching.
Yeah, no, that's super important to clarify that you are launching, and it has been on the journey, right, by developing the components which will be regulatory approved. And that takes me to a question around regulators. How has been your relationship with the regulator? How has the regulator welcomed the initiative, right? Because we know we have a wealth management problem. Only, as you said, into your introduction, how can that be that only 1% of the population can have access to wealth? We are in a world where everybody deserves to have a great life and access to financial means to create better life for themselves and their children. So my question is around the regulator. Has it been? And, what are the things, when you market test with your client, what other things are you still developing, which are on the roadmap?
Yep. So yes, to answer to the regulator question, it's funny that you mentioned the regulators, because we are, as we speak, going through our first examination with a regulator. So we are like speaking with them almost every day now. So with the regulators, it has been and it's a long, but I would say necessary process. And before Wizest, when I launched like the digital bank, I work with the regulator also like almost every day to make sure that what we were launching was like adequate for the market. So it's I would say it's not something that we don't want to work with the regulator. We have to, and it's great to have a nice relationship, because at the end of the day, they are here to protect the end users and the clients, and so we have to go with them. So we are working with them now. We have been working with them also since like 2021 to have our registration done as like a registered investment advisory firm, and everything has been working smoothly with them. It took some time because with all the flourishing of new solutions in the market for like e-trading, like eToro, like Robinhood, like public.com, they are also very picky now because they want to make sure, and that's what I learned through the interaction with them, that the new solutions that are coming into the market are really working on the best interest of the clients and not trying to push users or clients to do more transaction to generate more revenues for the solution. so they want to make sure about that. And they were very, I would say, afraid of every solution that is using like Robinhood is doing, like I would say the fact that they get revenue from selling the trades. And so it's because that is more or less an incitation to push clients to do more trades, even if it's not something that would be recommended for them. So that's where the regulator is very, very attentive now to make sure that every new things that they are appearing in the market is protecting the client from this aspect. So that's like what I wanted to mention on the SEC side, because we are working with the SEC. And on the roadmap that you mentioned, yes. We have plenty of things on the roadmap because we wanted to go with like I would say a product or version 1 with like our DNA, which is what I mentioned before, like being able to I would say follow people, to build a team, and to have this educational experience. That is the DNA and the base. But then in the roadmap, we have like different ways to expand, I would say, our offering. And one way would be to have like different offerings to complement the investing side. So meaning like having like more like deposits or even lending products to complement what could be offered to our audience. And then like the other approach would be to go deeper into the more wealth management side to go with also 101 like wealth management, more traditional offering, or like also to allow more independence or autonomy with trading to expand on this side. As of today, we haven't decided yet what is like the next feature or the next product that we're going to add to the offering, because what we want to see is like with our first users, and this year it's going to be that is going to be to interact with our first users and see what are their needs, what do they want, and what is their priority, and that's what we're going to prioritize on our end from there. We don't want to say you need to do this because I say it. It's not like tell me what you need from there. Now that you are part of the family, and let's grow the family together. So that's our approach.
That's cool. So looking at all the amazing things you are doing right now, Axel, to make investing more sustainable and simpler for the people who are actually learning today to deal with finance. And, I was thinking about your target market and the realization that you have a lot of women actually interested in a platform. That reminded me that, in many cultures, women are holding the purse. So maybe we are going back to that. Anyhow, I would love to hear your 3 recommendations for people listening to this discussion around what they can do to be more informed, what they can do to invest wisely, and what they can do to be part of the journey if they want to.
Yes, no, for sure. So I would say and here I'm going to step back from Wizest a little bit and say like at the end of the day, like for investing, and that's the principle that we are applying and that we have been pursuing all the time with the company, is like what is the best path for anyone to be able to invest and to have no stress about it, I would say. And so looking at historically what has happened and what is already today on the table on the market, the recommendation for that we have and that I have for everyone is like first, when about investing, it's a personal experience. So it's not something where you want to I would say just to go to your bank and have and take, as you said, like the fund that is like going to that has like objectives that are aligned with the year I'm going to retire, and that's it. No, I think it's a very personal experience, and investing needs like to have a little bit of self introspection at the beginning. Say, hey, what is my financial situation today, and what are my goals and my dreams. Is it I want to buy a house in 10 years from now? I want to retire in 30 years from now. And so from there, from these needs and this personal assessment, say, hey, so now what should I plan? What should I do to achieve these goals and these dreams? And from there, having this plan and putting this plan in motion is like finding the right solution to do so. And in function of like who you are, it could be Wizest, the perfect fit, and it could be something else. And when you put the plan in motion, the most important thing, and that like most people almost forget after 1 minute, it's like sticking to the plan, which is like what we say, and we like to say that when we do some like teaching about investing. It's like when you started working on your plan and implementing your plan, chill out and relax. Don't be affected with what is happening today or tomorrow in the market and overreact and be scared, because at the end of the day, when we look historically on the last 100 years, we see that the markets are always up and downs, but in the average, it's always going up if you hold and your breath, or if you are consistent and you don't change from your ideas like every 5 minutes. So it should be something that would be positive on the long term. And so that's what we say, like think about your personal situation, plan for it, and then like relax, chill out, and be consistent and stick to the plan. So that's like this about like the investing side. And then about like the question of how people can find more about us, it's very easy. Like we have like our little website like at wizest.com, so wizest.com. And then we also are present in different classical social media where people can follow us. Yep. And then the app is like already now in the App Store. So we just did a soft launch a few weeks ago, and just doing some little final testing with the first like users. So like whenever people want to go there and start like looking at the app or downloading the app or start using the app, here we are launching. So
lovely. You are launching, you're in the market, and I think the key here is actually solving for new problems we are seeing around investing. So I have a little bit of an interesting question for you, a reflective question. So 20 years has passed since you actually came into business, working for Renault banks, and I think even other companies. You have been an entrepreneur and working for corporates for a very long time. I want you to look into the future 10 years from now. Tell us what you see and where you and Wizest want to be.
Yes, that's an interesting question, because like you always think about like I speak about investing for the long term, so now I have to to answer the question about the long term. so in terms of like Wizest, the objective would be to obviously to be able to grow Wizest as much as we can, because growing Wizest would mean that we are able to provide this support to many people that today don't have it to invest, and it could be like growing just by yourself or like through the partnerships, because again, sometimes like cooperation is better than competition. And so for me, the objective is not to become the biggest company in the universe. No, the objective for me is to be able to solve the issue that I wanted to solve for myself, which is helping to have access to invest and to have access to the tool that today only the 1% have access to. And so I'm not coming from the 1%. I would say side of like the population. So I think I'm part of the 99% that wants to be able to access to the same thing as the 1% and want to help the others to do so. So that's like the goal for Wizest. And on my side, like if I am able to achieve that, I would be happy, because what I always wanted as a person was to say like if while I am having my professional career, what I really want is to be able to make an impact, to make something that I feel that will bring something positive and good for people that are around me instead of something that is bad. And so I want to be able to see myself in 10 years, say, yes, I was able to do something and to build my little stone to the building where we are all living in. And so that's my thought about that.
I believe many of us have this belief of helping change the world and doing our small contribution, because every small contribution can have a massive impact, like the butterfly effect. So I know you already told us, Axel, where we can find you, but I would love for you to repeat where we can find you, where we can find Axel, and where we can find Wizest.
Yep, no problem with that. So yes, we Wizest is like we have our small website, so wizest.com, and you can see just behind me the spelling, like it's WIZEST.com, and then we also have like our social media channels, like the traditional ones, like you will find us there, as well as like going to the App Store or the Google Play Store and find like the app and download the app and contact us. Like there is some emails to contact us if there is any question, any doubts. We are like just starting, so we have not a lot of users, so we are able now to have like this interaction very easily with anyone that is contacting with us. So happy to do so with like anyone that will come through you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you. I think it was a very inspiring and invigorating discussion. We actually covered how to invest and making investment accessible to everyone. We want to help make people make better choices, right? And constructive decision around their investing. And we've learned about your platform, Wizest, which is launching right now to provide that opportunity to invest better. So we need to follow you on social media. I'm already following you on social media, Axel. And as you would expect, I checked as well the website and the page just to make sure I really understood the company as well. So we look forward to hearing from you in the future. Please come back and tell us how you are building your 1 billion unicorn as well with us in the future.
Thank you, Sabine. I hope like your prediction is true. And yes, like always happy to come back and continue the conversation.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you like this podcast, subscribe now, share with your friends, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a 5-star review. Also, if you want to cover any specific subject with me, contact me on Instagram under Sabine VDL Officials or LinkedIn under Sabine van der Linden. Thank you.